Well, at this point, we're just half an hour away from the Josh Young trial. After 25 riveting prosecution witnesses, today the defense calls a handful of final witnesses. Every time I say that, Mike Brooks laughs. Young is accused of being involved in evidence tampering and the murder of Trey Zwicker, his 14-year-old stepbrother who was killed 2 years ago. Now, among those you're going to see testifying, Trey Zwicker's father, Terry.
To your knowledge, was Trey afraid of the dark?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, John, Zwicker's already testified extensively for the prosecution. So, you know, when you've got a witness that's already done so, how do you approach him from the defense standpoint?
Yeah, you've just got to put on your side of the case with your questions and you know, try to patch a defense together. Now, again, this is a crazy case where, I mean, to say the least,
exactly.
with you're laughing the whole way through, with, you know, Big Josh lying for Little Josh, but Little Josh clearly had some role in it. I don't know that Big Josh had a window to even do it.
But look at how confused we even sound about it, right? And we're following every single little detail. We want to know, what are the jurors thinking, right? We have a couple clues as to what they're thinking, because there was questions that they submitted that the judge actually didn't ask. But I want to get your take on this, John, because if that's the only thing we have to go on as far as where their mindset is. Okay, they asked a couple questions. Would Trey ever go anywhere alone with Josh Gauker? And then to the social worker, they wanted to know, how would you describe Josh Young? Did you ever notice any sadness from Josh Young? Did you observe Trey and Josh in the home together? So how would you interpret that as sort of our resident expert on jurors?
Well, I can clearly see why the judge wouldn't allow it, because you're getting into the depths of inadmissibility. But they're trying to read into who Little Josh was. And was Little Josh such a puppet of Big Josh that he would have either committed this act for his dad's approval or been on the sidelines when Big Josh did it?
Okay, but we know that so when they get the case, the judge actually said that they could be sequestered into Saturday. We don't know what's going to happen after that. But do they have enough to go on that would let you get above that bar of reasonable doubt when you're saying they want to know about this relationship? They don't seem to already have a good idea of what's established between the two of them.
I argued on After Dark they did last night, but I'm still not so sure. You know, that's the thing about being a lawyer, is you get to argue both sides. But I think there's evidence that Little Josh did it, or that maybe the contrary of that, Big Josh didn't have a window to do it. But does that mean that Little Josh did it? I mean, the crazy part of this defense is, in a criminal trial, it's one or the other. Right. It's not, you're not looking at any third parties. And so if you don't believe Big Josh, you almost have to believe Little Josh did it.
It kind of seems like you need more you need smoking gun here, don't you? I mean, there's no evidence. There's no weapon.
But one
there's
of the
no
questions,
DNA.
But one of the questions from the jurors a couple days ago of Big Josh, you know, what time did you did you kill Trey? He could answer every other question. He's, I don't remember.
Because that's a timeline problem.
That's a timeline problem.
He was snoring at 1:30 in the morning. He was snoring. We had Amanda McFarland testifying. He was snoring at 1:30 in the morning. Then we had Cassie Gauker testify that at 2:30 in the morning, that's when
But who do you
Little
believe
Josh
in this
came
case?
Exactly.
Who do you believe?
You can't believe Big Josh. I mean, everybody else, there's 4 other people that said Little Josh admitted to it.
I'm an effing liar, you know? Come on.
Right.
You know, so, you know, you can't believe him. But can you believe Cassie? You know, was Cassie trying to cover? Yeah, I don't believe any of them, to be honest.
All righty. Well, look, don't go anywhere. The defense team's last chance to get testimony in its favor. We're going to bring you that at the top of the hour. And we're still going to be talking about it through the break, people. All righty. Taking notes on all of that. Now, we're counting down to the final testimony in the Josh Young trial. Mike Alana is going to bring us today's defense witnesses. I know that we've seen 2 of them, but they were all kind of disconnected and out of order. So we're finally going to see what the defense has up its sleeve, right?
Yeah, and from what we gather, it's not much in the sense of time. And what does that tell you? I think it tells you they're pretty confident in their case, or that the prosecution did not prove that Josh Young had a hand in the murder of his stepbrother, Trey Zwicker. And here's another thing. If you look at the evidence, and I'd love to get everybody weigh in. I know the clock's ticking on us. But the evidence has shown more that Josh Young might have been involved in the murder more than it shows he was complicit in it.
Right. That's exactly the point.
Are they going to go there with that?
I don't know. John, go ahead.
I don't know.
They've basically created reasonable doubt out of a guy that you can't even believe one doubt coming out of his mouth. But they've swapped it, saying that it had to have been Big Josh I mean, it couldn't have been Big Josh, so it had to be Little Josh without proving it was individually Little Josh.
Little Josh, yeah. All righty. Well, Mike, we will be watching as always. Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing your time with us.